Hey guys, happy Monday. So as I mentioned yesterday, or on Thursday, this is just more of a review of the stuff that we were covering in second quarter. Then we'll move on to new stuff tomorrow. So the only thing that's not in the review is plotting points. And the reason why I chose not to do that is because I'd have to have a PDF, then I'd have to have you download and edit that, and that just seemed like a lot of work for the asynchronous lesson when I couldn't walk you through it and make sure it was everything was like looking okay. So for today's review, you just need a piece of paper and just number it. We'll do 20 problems total today. The first part will be the adding and subtracting negative numbers, and then the second part will be multiplying negative numbers. So on your piece of paper, I would title it More Quarter to Review. What's right below here, the I will bot, you don't have to write that down. That's just the learning objective, and what we'll be doing in our review today is just adding, subtracting, multiplying negative numbers. Right below it, I just kind of took a little picture of our notes from Thursday. That way I have a nice reference here, and you can reference back to it as well as to what are the rules for adding and subtracting negative numbers. So you don't have to write down the bullet points because it's already saved in our notes. What you do need to write down is the questions. So in this first section, I will do 3 problems related to the first bullet point. Then we'll pause the video. You'll do some. We'll go on to the second bullet point. I'll do some problems like that. Then you'll do some. Then we'll go to the third bullet point. I'll do some. You'll do some. So let's just kind of get started. So our first problem is -10 plus -14. So this is the one I'm going to do for you. I'm adding, because there's a plus sign, and I'm adding 2 negative numbers because both numbers have a negative sign. So according to my very first bullet point, if I add 2 negative numbers, we add like normal and keep the negative sign. So I'm going to add 10 and 14. That gives me 24. And I just keep my answer negative. So for number 1, my first answer is -24. Question 2, -8 plus -4. Again, I'm adding through the plus sign, and both my numbers are negative. So according to this bullet point, adding 2 negative numbers means you add like normal, keep it negative. So I'm going to do 8 plus 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. And then my 2 minus signs just kind of carry over. It just stays negative. So my answer to number 2 is -12. Question 3, -11 plus -9. Again, I'm adding because there's a plus sign and both numbers are negative. So I just add like normal. 11 plus 9. Well, that's 20. And I just keep my answer negative. So it just stays -20. All right, questions 4, 5, and 6 are the ones that you need to do. So please pause the video, work on them. If you get stuck, that's okay. That's why we're doing the review. But give it a good shot, then unpause, and we'll check your answers. Okay, hopefully you're able to work through these. These are just like the ones I did. So let's see how you did. Number 4, you're just adding. Both numbers are negative. So you just add like normal. 15 plus 6 is 21. Keep it negative. Number 4, you should have gotten -21. Number 5, -18 plus -2. I'm adding. Both numbers are negative. So that just means my answer stays negative. And I do 18 plus 2, which is 20. So that number 5 is also -20, the same as the answer is number 3. That's a fun coincidence. And last one for the first bullet point, number 6 is -13 plus -5. Again, I'm adding. Both numbers are negative. So this means my answer stays negative. 13 plus 5, well, that's 18. So my final answer, number 6, is -18. So that was our next little review of that first bullet point. Now we're going to go on to 6 problems related to the second bullet point. So let me just read that. Second bullet point right here says adding one negative and one positive. We subtract the numbers. If the bigger number is negative, answer is negative. So that's the rule we're going to use for the next 6 problems. Let's go. I just wrote in green, so I will write in pink this time. Number 7. So you need to copy down the problems. You could also draw this picture out if you wanted to. For every one of them, you could draw negative boxes and positive boxes and cross them out. That is the way we first learned how to solve these problems. Or we can just use the rule. And I'm just going to use the rules because that's where we really want to be by the end of the year. Just be able to know what to do, so without having to draw the picture. Let me just start in number 7. We have negative 12 plus 4. So I'm adding, and I have one negative number and one positive number. According to that bullet point that I just read, you subtract. So I'm going to subtract like normal. If I'm at 12 and I take away 4, that gives me 8. But I need to decide if this is a positive 8 or a negative 8. So I just look at which number was bigger, 12 or 4. Well, 12 is definitely bigger, and 12 was negative, which means my answer is negative. So on number 7, final answer is negative 8. Let's go to question 8. On question 8, we have 17 plus negative 4. So I'm adding, that's good, and I have one positive and one negative. That means we subtract. So 17, and I'm going to take away 4. Let's see, that gives me 13. And I'm going to look at which number was originally bigger, 17 or the 4. Well, 17 is definitely bigger, and 17 was a positive number. This means my answer stays positive. So number 8, final answer is positive 13. Then we have number 9. We have negative 15 plus 5. So I'm adding. I have one negative, one positive. This means we subtract. So I'm going to subtract like normal. 15 minus 5. Well, it's 10. Which number is bigger, 15 or 5? Well, 15 is bigger, and 15 is negative, which means my answer is negative. So we get negative 10. Okay, you now have 3 problems. Please pause the video and try them out. It's just like what I was just doing. Okay, let's see how you did. So question 10, negative 16 plus 4. So we're adding, one's negative, one's positive, you subtract. 16 minus 4 is 12. The bigger number is 16, and it's negative, which means your answer is negative. So you get negative 12. Or you should get negative 12. 11, we have 10 plus negative 2. So I'm adding, one's positive, one's negative, so you subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. Which number is bigger? 10 is bigger, and 10 is positive, which means your answer stays positive. Number 12, 7 plus negative 1. So I'm adding, I have one positive, one negative, which means we subtract them. So 7 take away 1 is 6. Which number is bigger? 7 is bigger, and it's positive. So final answer in this one is a positive 6. So that was the second bullet point. The next set of problems are related to the third bullet point, which I'm just going to scroll up to. Third bullet point says subtraction problems. This is where we use copy, add the opposite. What this does is change our subtraction problems to adding, and then we can look at the other 2 options. So we'll either add the numbers or subtract them if they're opposites. So let me just add a little note. Copy, add the opposite. That's just the phrase we're going to use on the next 6 problems. All right, let's go to number 13. So you need to just kind of copy on the problems. I will do the first 3, then you'll do the last 3, and we'll move on. So 13, we have -4 minus -3. Oops. So this is a subtraction problem because there's at least one minus sign in between the numbers. So this means we copy the first number, we add this first negative, and we do the opposite of the last number. This gives me -4, it's copying, add, and I'm going to do the opposite of a -3, which is a +3. Well, here I'm adding now, and I have one negative and one positive. That's like what we just did, which means I just subtract because they're opposites. 4 minus 3 is a 1. The bigger number is 4, and it's negative. So we have a -1. Let's try number 14. We have -8 minus -1. So again, a subtraction problem means we copy, add the opposite. So I copy the first number, -8, change the minus sign to a plus. In this case, the opposite of a -1 is a +1. From here, I'm adding, and because I have one negative and one positive, those are opposite signs, which means you subtract. 8 minus 1 is 7. Which number is bigger? Well, that's 8, and 8 is negative. This means our answer is negative. So number 14, we have -7. Number 15, still we have 8 minus -5. So I'm still subtracting because there's at least one minus sign in between the numbers. So we copy, add the opposite. I copy my first number, which is 8, change the minus sign to a plus. The opposite of a -8, well, that's just a +8. So this just gives me a nice normal adding problem where I have 8 plus 5, that's 13. So number 15, got a nice normal positive number. All right, so on 16, 17, and 18, this is the ones that you need to try. I am going to just kind of write the abbreviation of what you need to do for each number. So I'm just going to rewrite copy, add the opposite for each problem, and hopefully that will help you out. But please, at this time, pause the video, try them out, and then check your answers by unpausing. Okay, let's see how you did. 16, when you rewrite -9 minus -4, that's -9 plus 4. Opposites, meaning one negative, one positive, so I subtract. 9 minus 4 is 5. The bigger number is 9, and it's negative, so your answer is negative. Number 16, you should have gotten -5. Number 17, -10 minus -5. If you rewrite this, you should get -10 plus opposite of a -5 is a +5 equals. Let's see, I'm adding their opposites. So I have one negative, one positive. So you subtract. And 10 minus 5 is 5. Which number is bigger? 10 is bigger, and it's negative. So you should have gotten -5 on number 17. Last one in this section, number 18. 11 minus -4. Well, this gives me 11 plus 4 when I do copy, add the opposite. So this is just a nice normal adding problem, and 11 plus 4 is 15. If you made a mistake anywhere, please make sure you've corrected it. Remember, you're allowed notes on quizzes and tests, so this is just something you want to keep with you. And we'll just move on to the last part, which is just the multiplying. Remember that if you have any brain farts, it's an early Monday morning and you forgot some of your multiplication facts, just go look at the multiplication chart that is available to you on our Schoology page. That's always a resource you're allowed. So again, I took a little snippet, I took a little picture of our notes. That's why this says part 3. But we're just going to work on multiplying negative numbers. You don't need to write that down because it's already in your notes from Thursday of last week. But I wanted here to have a nice reference So I know I said we were going to do 20 problems. I forgot how many I had after this. So we're actually going to go to 26 with multiplying, but multiplying tends to go faster, and then we'll be done. So just as a reminder of our rules, when we multiply negative numbers, we just multiply like normal. To assign our answers, it's depending on how many negative numbers were in the problem. So if there's one negative number, the answer is negative. If both numbers are negative, the answer is positive. Or we can remember pass, that positive answers are the same sign. So these are just the last ones. Let's just kind of jump in here. Number 19, you need to write down -4 times -2. So I just multiply like normal. 4 times 2 is 8. Because they're both negatives, that means my answer becomes positive. 2 negatives make a positive. So number 19 is a positive 8. Number 20, we have -3 times -10. So you just multiply like normal. 3 times 10. That's 30. Because I have 2 negative numbers in my problem, that means my answer is positive. So this stays a positive 30. Then number 21. Well, number 21, we have 9 times -4. So I just multiply 9 and 4. That's 36. But this time, I only have one negative number. That just means my answer is negative. So number 21, get -36. Going to 22. This is the last one I'll do for you, and then the last 4 are yours. -7 times 5. So multiply just 7 and 5. That's 35. Because I have one negative, that means my answer is negative. So on number 22, we get -35. All right, there's 4 problems left. Please pause the video, try them out, unpause, check your answers. All right, let's see how you did. 23. And so you had -3 times -5. So 3 times 5 is 15. 2 negatives make a positive. So this stays positive 15. Number 24, -6 times -2. So I do 6 times 2. That's 12. 2 negatives just make positive, so it stays positive 12. 15, 8 times -3. So you do 8 and times 3. That's 24. But this time you only have one negative, which makes your answer negative. So number 25, your answer is -24. And last one, -4 times 7. So you just multiply 4 and 7. That's 28. And again, you only have one negative number. So that just makes your answer negative. So you should get -28. All right, guys, that is it for the quarter 2 review. Tomorrow we'll move on to new stuff. Please make sure you got this written down. If you made any mistakes, make sure you've corrected it because, again, you're allowed notes. And I will throw some of these review problems into our quizzes this quarter. And that's it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.